WhiskyJason here, whiskey from the viewpoint of an American in Germany, tasting rare and exotic whiskeys. Today I have something from a brand new distillery, at least for me, Ardnamurchan. I hope I pronounced that halfway right. This is the AD/01.21 column 01 release. Wow. All right, so Whiskybase number 175268. This is a very, very interesting whiskey for me because I get to show you something in a moment online about how it was made. Over here in Germany, it came out at 49 euros and 95 cents, and then suddenly it was 59 euros, and then it was 69 euros, then it was 79 euros. It is actually going in the secondary market at the moment for 100 euros. So there were a total of 14,676 bottles. So it was 50% peated and 50% unpeated whiskey. The peated whiskey was actually peated at 35 to 30 ppm. All right, so what we have here is a unique new distillery that has something important, and it's called blockchain technology. So what we do, we have a QR code here, and we scan the QR code. 1 second, please. We scan the QR code and we come to a site that basically looks like this. Boom. I'm quicker with my boom than I am with my clicking the mouse. I come to the site, and what I have is here, I now know that I have bottle number 1884 of the 14,676 bottles. And I do know that it was bottled by Kelly. And I do know that it was bottled on the 19th of January, 2001. So what I can do is I can discover complete traceability. And what I do is I click on it, and I get to know a little bit about the barley that was used. For example, here, the barley that was used was, come on, don't leave me hanging here. The blockchain information says it was Concerto. Now, Alex Bruce, I actually know myself. I interviewed him at the Aquavite Whiskey Fair here in Germany in Mülheim. And this was actually added on the 13th of August, 2014. So we always have our blockchain number down here to make sure it's right. We go over here to the mashing. So our mash tun was individually designed to fit both our distillery and the Narrows Bridge. So they actually had a problem. This is more of a tractor lane that the distillery is at the end of. The man, Mr. Houston, is one of the managing directors, and at his home close by his castle, or the castle is where they built the distillery, and the bridge was only 3.2 meters wide, so about 20 feet wide. So they actually had to make that mash tun fit through there. All right, so we have here the malted barley is added to the mash tun along with hot water to start the mashing process. And it's heated using their biomass boiler, and they only use wood chips. Very good, from a sustainable local forestry. And once the wort is ready, it gets transferred to our washbacks for fermentation. The draft that is left over then from the mashing is then mixed with the evaporated pot ale, and it makes a nutritious animal feed for the local farm. So what we have here, we can actually click on here, we can see the mash temperature. The minimum temperature was 64 degrees Celsius, and we could have the units here. And the maximum temperature was 94. Now, most of the places that I know of in Scotland use 3 washes. So the third wash from the wash before is used for the first wash. There's a little bit of sugar in there, and they use that little bit of sugar, put it in the next one, and take those sugars from the grain with them. Then they put it in a second time, they heat it up more, and the third time they have it the hottest, which takes out all the sugars basically, and they use it then for the next mash again. I'm not sure if they do that as well. Of course, we have to talk about the fermentation time. That's very, very good. They have stainless steel washbacks. They do have some things from pine and so on. Originally, they had from a cognac distillery, they had 4 washbacks. For some reason, apparently there are problems, is what I'm going to say. They changed to stainless steel. All right, so the fermentation time for this batch was 76 hours, and it happened then on the 13th of August in 2014. Now, I'm going to talk about one of the limitations here of the blockchain technology in a moment when I come to the casks. So it was distilled, and we can also see the hydrometer here. That's talking about the ABV, the proof. So the minimum was 68.5 was where they made a cut. And that was where the head stopped, and where the tail started was 75.2. I just love this. I can geek out on this information for many, many, many times, or many hours. I'm not going to do that to you. All right. So what I'm going to do now is to actually stop this and then show you the casks that were used. And then I'm going to actually talk about some of the problems we have with this technology. Because what we have here is, here we go. I'm going to share my PDF with you. Is we have basically the AD/01.21:01 is we have different vintages. So in this bottle, there are vintages from 2004 and 2014 and 2015. So you're giving me blockchain information about one, not about all of the distillation process that were used to create this bottle. So I'm going to actually doubt, at least for this vintage or this vatting or this blend of different casks distilled at different times, I'm going to doubt the validity of blockchain in this case. All right, I'm going to, and this is my statement, and anyone here at Ardnamurchan can confront me and can also convince me otherwise. Anytime you're doing a blend of unpeated and peated whiskey, you're always going to have the problem, because you cannot do those at the same time. So you're going to have different information from the peated distillation process that was maybe on Monday, and if you do it on Tuesday, the unpeated is going to be different information. There might be different barley, there might be different temperatures, there might be different times it came in the cask, and all that. So my question is, who decided what goes in the blockchain for such a vatting? Now, the other thing I must have mentioned is I really had to think about this for a little while. So we have ASB, which means American Standard Barrel, no problem. So we have the cask numbers here. We have the warehouse location. Then we have hogsheads, HHD, I know. SPOL means for me Spanish, OL, Oloroso. So it might be Spanish oak. Because if I go down here, I get some American oak in there from the butts, which is just fine. If I go over to Waterford, they tell me how much information was in each cask even. I like that much better. A legend here would have been helpful. If I go down to the peated variation, you have a lot of American Standard barrels, and then you have maybe even the Spanish oak, which would be Pedro Jimenez, PX. So then you have the OL, which is the Oloroso, and then you have the American Oloroso, and then you have the Spanish PX, and so on and so on. So also here, everything was 2015, the vintage. Okay, yeah, why not? So my first thought is, hey, wow. 273, 598, 350. You fill your barrels up continuously. You start with 1 and you go to 2, 5, 7. So if you have a 300 gap between the two barrels, of course, that's not the same distillation process here, not on the same day at the same time. And probably the stuff from the peated is definitely not the same stuff that was produced in 2014. Yes, I know you have a limited amount of stock and you need to actually use that stock, but I do doubt the helpfulness of the blockchain if the information doesn't really count. Going back to Waterford as my example of a good blockchain is they're doing our batches and they're only using those barrels from that one batch. And that, of course, is interesting for that information. As soon as you start marrying, vatting, blending different years together, 14 and 15, the whole blockchain uniqueness just kind of crumbles and falls together, personal opinion. All right, very, very good. So the distillery itself is a unique place to go. I have not been there myself. If you're at Port Williamson, it's about, I think I read about a 90-minute drive up over there. It might only be 60 minutes. There was a distillery that was started back in basically, I think, the Adelphi distillery was started back in 1826. And ever since then, there has been basically something going on with Adelphi. So 1903, the Distillers Company, which is today Diageo, took over the distillery. And basically, it was closed then 1968. Now, Jamie Walker is actually the great-grandson of Archibald Walker. Actually started in 1993, the independent bottler Adelphi, which is the owner of this distillery. They have one wash still, 10,000 liters, and they have one spirit still, 6,000 liters. My web page here says they have two wash stills. Okay, I'll have to check that out. They sold, Jamie Walker sold the company. He was getting old to Keith Falconer and Donald Houston in the year 2003. Basically, 2007, the guys realized, oh no, we're going to have a problem in the future getting casks. So they set about planning their own distillery. 2012, they received their building permit. And 2014, Princess Anne was there. And on the 25th of July, 2014, she personally filled the first barrel. Very, very good. All right, good. So, in the nose, it's very interesting. Even here, it's a very, very strong, fragranted whiskey. A lot of aromas in here. I'm going to use the expression of doing a tango dance. So you basically have here the peated whiskey, and you have the unpeated whiskey, and they're doing a tango, sorry. And so I'm going to call the the peated whiskey more of the masculine, and the unpeated more of the floral, the flowery, the type of feminine. And they're battling it out with each other, and there's no winner, luckily. No one has the overhand, takes over. No, they're from the very beginning to the very end. Now, the fruitiness of this impresses me. There's a lot of potential here. I hope you get a bottle soon. I hope you can try it yourself. There are so many new distilleries popping up and finally putting out the releases. It is hard to keep track of them all. I talked about Waterford. Okay, used to be the guy here, Rene from Bruichladdich. He went to Ireland and basically makes single malts Irish whiskey now. And there's also another person here in Scotland, the new distillery, Nickneed. And they're not just 100% renewables. They are too. They have a water generator for their electrical needs. They have, as I talked about, that wood boiler with renewable wood sources for their heat needs. They have tried to have zero waste. They get rid of everything as a fertilizer, as a feed for the cattle, and so that they're very, very environmentally friendly. Nickneed, on the other hand, is also organic. They're not, at least at this moment, maybe in the future they might be organic. All right, so one other thing I wanted to mention is this bottle. I think it's bland. I would look at this bottle and go, okay, yeah, 1980 or 1985 design. The label, very, very, very minimalistic. Yeah, there's not much on there, all right? So in the back, you have the necessary information for the legal requirements, plus your big old QR code here. But even on the bottle, there's a little bit of an engraving here. But other than that, maybe you can actually see from the back better the engraving. Yeah, you can see it in there. But other than that, I guess the color of the whiskey should shine through, because everything from Ardnamurchan is non-chilled filtered, natural color. So, yeah, let's try this finally. 65% bourbon casks, 35% sherry casks, mainly Oloroso, and the one or two picks were in there as well. Distilled 2014-15 and bottled on January 21. So 5, maybe, probably 6 years old. 46.8%. Now, there's a beautiful fruitiness here. I get my gooseberry, I get my lychee, I get my pineapple, I get my white cranberries. Everything's very, very light. White, yellow plums, very, very, very bright and fresh, and a little bit of flower in there. And the interesting thing, there was a flower as in blooming flowers. The interesting thing is there's a tiny little bit of, at least I would say, a saltiness also in there. Coastal moment. Very, very nice. On top of that, there's this smoky peatedness that does the tango with everything else and complements it. It actually just like shadows the movements in different directions. Very, very well done. I like it a lot. I really enjoy the nose. I would have no idea how old this is. I could have said it on the nose, 12, 14 years old. I do not get any hint of youthfulness on the nose. Cheers. Mm-hmm. However, on the palate, I do. Okay. Now, the smoky peatedness, I'm going to use the word peatedness, really complements everything once again, really supports it, and gives it a good, nice feel and a good mouth complexity. The fruitiness is still there. So it's basically fruitiness and then a little bit of that peatedness, and then the fruitiness continues on more. So maybe the tango, the woman won. Isn't that supposed to what happened in the tango? Who knows? Beautiful, beautiful malt sweetness comes through. A lot of bang on fruit flavors. The first thing I think of Annandale. They also have a lot of fruitiness in there. Very, very well done. This is something I'm going to look after and look for more and more. Now, I did add water in my German video, and it crumbled. It just kind of didn't hold up the water that much. So I'm going to leave it exactly as it is. This is a whiskey, 50 euros, at least where I'm at, is a price. It's a no age statement. You can calculate the age. One site actually said it's 5, not 6 years. 50 euros, that's 10 euros per year. That's a lot of money for a younger distillery in a somewhat bland bottle design. McNeid did a much better bottle there, I must admit, especially to have a target audience of younger people. I look at this bottle, I think, oh, I'm 55 years old. Not even that yet. Yeah, it's not something that the millennials are going to pick up and go, oh, yeah, great bottle. So that smoky peatiness, that chocolatey moment, actually, it's a mixture between chocolate and a little bit of that the bonfire ashiness there. Does a good job. I like that a lot. That 30% ppm, 35% ppm. By the way, Ardnamurchan has actually malting floors. They were built, if I remember correctly, between 2018 and 2019, and they haven't been used, at least not according to my book yet. So I have my whiskey Bible here, the Malt Whiskey Yearbook 2021, and it came out in 2020, and they wrote that they had not been used yet, but they will. And so they have plans for the future, and that's very, very, very cool. I'm going to give this whiskey a solid C. Value for money, maybe even a C+. Let's go for a C+. Value for money, a C for the 50 euros. If you have to pay 70 euros, a D+. And if you're going to go for 100 euros, no, it's not worth 100 euros. Wait for the next bottle. All right, so that's my personal opinion. There are many, many people now that are aware of this distillery. Many, many people want to try this. At least over here in Europe at the moment, whiskey fairs are still not allowed. So you can't go and try it and then go back next year and try it again. You have to find a sample. You have to maybe buy a bottle, share it with a friend or whatever. And that's a little bit of a difficult because they're all gone. So they were gone within a couple days, and that's a shame. So my bottle, I bought 2 actually. I shared both of them. They were also gone within hours. A lot more demand than supply at the moment with many, many things in this world. Interesting to say so. All right. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for liking. I hope you like the little excursus here in our blockchain technology with whiskey. And if someone can disperse any of my doubt about the validity, not of the facts that are on there, but of the helpfulness to understand what is actually in this bottle due to vatting and due to marrying of many, many different casks from different years, I would be interested in having a conversation with you. You can always contact me at whiskyjason@gmail.com or just comment on below this video and I'll be able to get in contact with you there as well. Thank you. Please share, please like, please subscribe, please hit the bell, and I will see you soon. Whiskey Jason, a crazy guy over here in Germany tasting rare and exotic whiskeys. Bye-bye.